Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tiranee, and today I would be telling you a story about big data. So the power of big data and its analytics must have been a topic that has been talked about a lot around the country. It's pretty hard for you guys to walk around and don't see the terms everywhere you turn. In healthcare, big data is also one of the hottest topic around. Many government agencies, many private sectors, and even citizens has been investing a lot of money into collecting health-related data and trying to use the data to better the lives of the community, correct? And that's going to be the story that I'll be telling you in the next 10 minutes. But before we get to that, let me lay down some background about what big data analytics is all about. So let's start it with the simple example about big data analytics in e-commerce. The story is sort of started when Jeffrey Bezos, you guys familiar with him? He's the guy who quit Wall Street in 1994 and then founded Amazon.com. As you guys probably know, Amazon is the company that won the retail war years ago with big data analytics. Being from Wall Street, he's very familiar with playing with numbers. And he used that techniques and differentiated this particular website. The first one to do so is to use data analytics to target customer. So what does that mean? When you're shopping online today, I'm sure all of you have done it before. When you're shopping online today, more of your data has been collected. I think it's more so than you can ever imagine. Like every link you click when you shop, or if you move the mouse around on your website and you linger on some product longer than the other, the system will take note of that. Everything you click will be recorded. Text that you put on the search box or reviews that you've read or written, all of that will be taken by the systems into the data and then fed into the analytics model and used to target you, used to recommend it or suggest new products to you. So basically what the website does is it's know you and are able to know you at a very personal level, just like your friends. They don't just know your demographic data, but they can pretty much know what's your needs, your desires, your preference, your opinions. So that's beyond using processing transaction can do. And this is how retail's website is doing business now. Let's look at this dashboard a bit. This is captured from my own personal dashboard from Amazon in December, probably a year or two ago. If you look at the top row there, I mean, during the time, I've been Googling a lot about point-and-shoot camera to get to my niece for New Year presents. And I've been looking into many of the websites, and Amazon managed to gather the information, and then when I logged into the website, it suggested point-and-shoot camera to me. If you look at the second row here, these are all the books title that were suggested to me by the website. And believe it or not, all of these titles are within my interest, and I actually have purchased many of those already. The website even give me combinations, like if I buy book A with book B, I'll get discount. So how does Amazon do it? How does the website know me that well? Basically, they compare me with million other customers who are similar to me in terms of shopping behavior. And that's how they recommend and suggest the product to me based on my track record on their website against people who have similar shopping behavior to me. So in marketing terms, we call it people with the same persona as me. So that's how Amazon does it. So when you talk about data analytics today, it's not just about who you are, how old you are, and things like that. But it's about no longer about tables in databases any longer. It's about text, images, or video that I post online on my social medias, like on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. It can be blogs that I've read or written. If I own a smartwatch, it can be personal data about my heart rate each day, about how much I exercise, or even how well I sleep at night. So all of these data in combination, they define who I am. Right? And if the website managed to know who I am, then the website will be able to heavily customize the shopping experience to your like. You and I, if we log into a website like this, we will see different dashboard. Different products will be recommended to us very differently. So that's how big data analytics work in its early stage in digital marketing. Let me talk about another example a little bit closer to healthcare. This is the smart inhaler. how smart is a smart inhaler? What does it mean? This particular device is a smart inhaler, meaning that it has a GPS tracker on the device. And every time, if you have a kid with asthma, and if the kid is using the inhaler, the device will record the location, longitude and latitude of the where it is used, and then put that data onto the cloud. Why is that important? If you go to the doctor, take your kids to see the doctor can look at the graph and see the trend. They can understand when the kid generally use, how often and when generally needs to use inhaler, where the kids generally use inhaler, and quite possibly why. Now the why part is the tricky part. But if you know where and when the inhaler is activated, then you can check the weather, humidity level. You can check location, whether that's the beach, the mountains, or metropolitan area with a lot of, maybe PM 2.5 dust or something. So you know what trigger asthma for each individual kid. You can design a very much a personalized delivery plan, treatment plan for each individual. And you can also track symptom over time. Using just a simple device like this with data onto the cloud, it has to be better than any doctor or hospital visit can do or a lab test can do, because this is daily lives data collected during the day, during their lives, and then used for analytics, right? Now, all the technology that I've discussed about have moved us a little bit closer toward the right living, and with data, we can provide the right care. The customer 360 and the patient 360 that I talked about are very similar in terms of concept. They use the same algorithms, the same methodology. The difference is they were applied into different domains, and thus different data set is used. When you're talking about patients 360, data used is generally doctor's note, lab tests, images scan, or electronic health record of any kind. Also behavioral data like how you eat, what's your drinking habits, smoking habits, or exercising routine. These are sort of data that is used in big data for healthcare. Now in Thailand, this is one of the projects that I worked on a year or two ago. So in Thailand, it's like every developing country, making healthcare inclusive, making it available to every corner of the country is always a challenge. And it's hard to work there alone, right? So I'm very fortunate to have an opportunities between myself, my data scientist team, my associate from the universities, as well as my students. We have tackled on a little projects that may one day create a big impact for the country. We work with the Knowledge Management Institute and the district health system together to try to bring healthcare to the rural area where getting to hospital for a lab test or hospital visit on a regular basis is limited. It's very difficult to do that. So we're trying to do that. And my part on the project as a technologist, what I do is I design technological platform. I architect what the technology should look like. But during the time, I wasn't trying to use like the latest, the greatest technology available. I was trying to study how the real-life volunteer in the volunteer network work during their times. How do they visit patients? What are their experience and what are their behavior? And then trying to design technology that fits. Because you have to know that when you talk about healthcare, it's never going to be just about technology. It's always about people adopting the technology in the right context. Correct? So now, Knowledge Management Institute have helped this project by recruiting, I think, about 200 to 300 patients from 3 different districts to participate in the program. These patients are patients who has NCDs, non-communicable disease. Basically, they have either hypertension, diabetes, or both. And then once they were signed on to the project and give us access, we have access to their hospital records, their medical intakes, their lab tests, and things like that along that line. But that's not quite enough because we wanted to be able to know their behavior in their daily life routine as well. Because after all, this project is about intervention. We want to do behavior modification to make them living a healthier life. So we want to be able to collect the data. So we work with a team of experts who are a diabetes doctor. The team has derived a set of questions that the volunteer should be asking the patient when they do the house visit. Like this kind of question is good if the patient has diabetes, things like that. And the first piece of technology that we did is very simple. All we do is we convert that questions into a smart and interactive online questionnaire. It's a mobile app. It's a little mobile app that can be installed on the mobile phones of the volunteer. And then when the volunteer go to visit the patients, the volunteers can use this mobile phone and start asking, interviewing, following the guideline given on the phone. Based on the answer, we can pick out the next question from the database to make it fit with patient's behavior. So the mobile phone has been used for real for about 6 months period of time, prototyping stage, and collecting data. And the real-life volunteers said they liked it because before they have to write it down on a piece of paper, and some of them go back home and type it in, some of them don't. So having this is easier. And plus, we can do a little trick, like gathering data is easier because Kun Pa might be saying, like, I had fried rice from the shop next door for lunch, and then I walked to the market in the evening. Story like that can be converted. The AI can be used to extract quantifiable information, like what is the nutrition on one plate of fried rice and how many steps does that mean to walk to the market? So we can help them a little bit with that. Now, this particular project is based on interview methods, which has a little bit of a challenge because it's very hard to judge whether you get the truth from the patients or not when you talk to them. One of the questions often to ask is how much salt do you generally put when you're cooking at home? Things like that. And the answer to that question is almost always, no, I don't use salt. But the volunteer said they might be using fish sauce or some kind of seaweed or something to make it salty. So basically, one of the volunteers told me personally that she stayed for dinner and then eat with them and then make the judgment by themselves of the saltiness level and things like that to track the. So each and every volunteer has to eventually develop tricks and techniques of how to gather a correct information from patients. After we collect all these behavioral data, the data is put onto a system on the cloud. The doctor, when they log into the dashboard, they will see the data along with the lab test, and the doctors can now write recommendations or suggestions. These recommendations or suggestions will be notified to the volunteer mobile app, like a Facebook notification. It will see the notifications, and when the volunteer go over to visit the patient the next time, they can discuss with the patient based on the guideline given by the doctor. So that's what happened. I'm going to go over time by 2 minutes. I hope that's okay. Now we have deployed these prototyping systems in 3 different districts in Thailand, in 3 different provinces, and we collected the data for 6 months' time. The problem that I found basically, is that sometimes volunteers went over to the patients without new notification of suggestion from doctor. And the reason to that is because we just don't have enough physicians in the loop. And we don't have enough volunteer network either. So I was thinking that healthcare project for rural area people, maybe we don't want to focus alone on the technology. Maybe we want to focus on building, the patient-centric offline support systems. And then you design technology that aids them and not trying to replace them and automate everything. So that's how Lives in Thailand is about. Now the problem that we found is this. First of all, the doctor is not enough. There's not enough doctor in the loop. The second of all, some patients live so far away, coming to hospital to get the lab test is not possible. Then we don't know what we did last month work or not because we don't have the results to double check it. And in the metropolitan area, some underdeveloped part, there's no volunteer network. So in the future, what we can do about that? First, health recommended cloud, the AI stuff. We have collected 6 months worth of data of questions and answer on an interview. We also have the doctor recommendation and suggestions to match that. We can use these sets of data to train a machine and then use an AI-based software to auto-generate of the suggestion and recommendations. That would make the doctor's life easier and work faster because doctors don't have to write everything, they just need to proofread it. So that's one thing that technology can help. The other thing is, what if the volunteer can bring the lab to the patients at home and then test the patients at home in the form of a small device that can fit in their pockets? We call that things lab on chip or Internet of Things. Data can be shoot to the cloud. There are many commercially available sensors today to measure like blood pressure, sugar level, weight, heart rate, and etc. So we can build that into a device, put that device into a form that is small enough. Now, volunteer can go to the patients and measure all these blood tests at the point of care and then send the data back. So this technology can help with that as well. Last, For people who lived in metropolitan area to the underdeveloped part, like myself, maintain sustainable diet is very challenging, at least to me. I would be happy to have a software bot that can answer my questions, but I want the answer that makes sense. The answer that is customized based on my personal health condition, my eating behavior, my exercising habits, and everything. I want the answer to be good and customized. For example, I could ask the bot whether I could go crazy and drink lots of wine tonight at the party at my house, and the bot could say, yeah, sure, 2 to 3 glasses. And I could be asking it again tomorrow, exact same questions, and the bot would say, no way, you just did that yesterday. Answer that taken into account times and conditions and things, answer that makes sense. Now, in Thailand today, I guess a lot of data has been used to help improve government operations and citizen services. And I believe that technology will be made a lot more inclusive to people in Thailand. A project like Net Pracharat has just reached villages outside that before they do not have access to the internet. Now they do. So there are lots and lots and lots of data has been generated today and are just waiting to be utilized. So this year, myself and my data scientist team, we have decided to build, with the help of the government, with the Ministry of Digital Economy, an institute called Government Big Data Institute, or GBDI. Our main mission is to develop, using big data analytics, we want to promote, we want to support the use of big data in developing our country towards the right living for all of its citizens. So I hope you follow us, follow our action, and help us build analytics ecosystem for Thailand. And I hope that my talk today has inspired you all to take a look at big data and maybe utilize it more and make our country better. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ